Yeah, so racing for me is an opportunity to kind of disconnect from the rest of the world and the stresses that come along with it. It's one of the few places I can go to where I solely focus on one thing, and that's racing and what I'm doing in that particular moment in time. So it's really a great opportunity for me to kind of escape and put myself in a position where I can enjoy the moment.
We first met Erwan here at Calabogie. Lapping days, he was running with his first a Volkswagen GTI and then moved into his FG Civic. And we were front wheel drive guys running our old Civic, so seeing another guy with that same passion and roughly our same age enjoyed some of the JDM cars, and learning front wheel drive was fun to work with him on that. Brought him into our Champ Car program. We were racing the EG and EK Civic hatchbacks. So his front wheel drive hatchback experience translated quite well towards the Champ Car series and gave him an opportunity to take the skill set he was learning here at Calabogie as a driver doing the evening series and lapping days and apply that to racing to get to learn different tracks around North America in Champ Car. So Erwan would join us. We'd have multiple Champ Cars running per weekend. Then Erwan would jump into, initially would be in one of our other cars with a group of drivers, and we saw the pace in him, and it was a lot of fun to go racing with him over the weekend. And he was really getting closer and closer to some of the lap times that we were putting down. It was really fun to be able to go over data and work with somebody that could really chase some of that lap time safely and was really hungry for more all the time. So over the years, I developed that Erwan would actually run with us in one of our team cars and try to take on some of the bigger fields in North America, see if we can get some good results as a team, as TWOtheFront in those cars. So through WRL, we were also racing our Gen 1 Audi RS LMS TCR car, our Shopify TCR car, and I know that was a bit of a dangling carrot for Erwan, having grown up or spent the last few years racing front wheel drive cars with us. Seeing that kind of the mecca of front wheel drive touring cars, I think was always aspirational to try to get into that at some point. And that's what this week's all about, is showing him that progress, making those steps into the bigger cars, doing it in a safe way, really learning the fundamentals of what's required, and then refining it as we went to be able to make him faster and faster in that chassis.
He has been complaining that he has kind of like plateaued in his racing, and I've always looked at him like, he's super fast, oh god, I hope one day I get there. But I think from his perspective, he's kind of at a moment of his racing career where he's plateauing. He's like done everything he could to achieve a certain level, and if he wants to get to the next level, he's gonna need to work with teams like TWO to really look at his race data, his race status, his driving from a data perspective, and see if he can find the additional time he's losing on track and like work on that specifically.
My goals this weekend are actually to get faster. So it sounds a bit simple, but I feel like I've been stagnating a little bit in my driving. I'm lagging some of the top drivers in the field, and really want to pick up some time, and additionally, of course, enjoy the experience of driving the tour cars.
When teaching a new platform, we like to break down initial sessions into manageable components to identify the nuances and maintain a safe margin of error as the driver learns a car. On the outlap with the TCR, with Erwan, we worked on just straight line acceleration braking on those initial laps while the tire pressures came up to temperature. Very similar to a shakedown when mechanical work has been done on a car. First, you start working on that forward-backward braking using simply longitudinal Gs. Then we slowly start to integrate the trail braking into a corner, starting very lightly, just in case that transfers too much weight to the nose and over-rotates the rear. You want to make sure you're not going to spin that car out. Easier throttle application coming off a corner, or a bit of maintenance throttle as you get up to the second or third lap as you leave a corner to get a feel for how much torque you have in the front end and how that car responds when you load the nose or unload that nose through a corner. Finally, at the end, do you actually start pushing a higher speed corner once you know what the mechanical grip level feels like in the car, and then can start to play with more aggressive entries.
I think from day one I wanted to capture my racing, and I think initially we were just recording the whole thing on an SD card and spending a lot of time then exporting the video, trying to overlay race data offline and then uploading that to YouTube. And it was like, it would be really cool to do all of this process on a live stream. And so we started offline recording, and then suddenly we're like, let's experiment with live streaming, which was really not easy initially.
We both moved to California, and we still want to share our passions with our friends and family, and so we started to see and seek out opportunities to share our driving, our racing, and we looked into live streaming our races, and that's how we started. We just wanted to make sure our families and friends could follow along with whatever we would do on the weekends, and so live streaming the races became a natural outlet for that, and that's how we got started.
We started streaming more and more successfully, and then we built this piece of software to help us adding live race data on top of a live stream to make it more interesting. And as you were doing that for yourself, and you start wanting to share what you're doing and your success with other teams, so other teams are asking about it, and so you start sharing more and more what you're doing, and then it eventually became a thing where we should officially share that, and we should make this data, our experience and the data we've collected, more easily accessible for everybody.
As a driver growing up around the same time as the internet boom for us and in motorsports and being able to share things in social media, coming through the mid 2000s, late 2000s, early 2010s, we really didn't have as much social media presence and the ability to share these experiences with friends and family. I know for Trevor and I personally, the amount of friends just since Drive to Survive and accessibility has really come up that have known us our whole lives but don't really understand what it's like for these race weekends. Really get that behind the scenes view now and get to share our passion that we've been doing our whole lives. So for Erwan and Claire to get together, to have that passion for motorsport and also share the passion of wanting to share the experiences with their friends, I think My Races Live is a really great solution to be able to have a variety of price points and different types of packages and kits where anybody, no matter what they're racing, whether they're in a lapping day and just want to share that, or whether in a big competition or an endurance race, they now have the ability to just throw a camera inside their car, connect it to their account, and share it with friends and family through all their social media platforms.
The feedback has been amazing. A lot of people are super thankful for it to exist because they can use it with their existing live streaming equipment. If you're streaming from your phone, you can use what we've built. If you're using a very fancy equipment, you can use what we've built. So regardless of the equipment you're using, you can benefit from it, and it's free. We have a free version with a ton of features, and we're happy to make it accessible for free because we care about sharing the product more than making money out of it.
We wanted to build a platform that allowed drivers to share their live streams with additional context about how they're doing the races. We wanted to allow teams to monitor what's going on during the live races for their drivers. and also build a community and some collateral to help people get started in live streaming. It's not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of equipment you can buy, there's a lot of tools you can use, and so it's really building the collateral, the documents, and the community to help people get started in live streaming.
Have the cushion here, lean your head against that bar. Yeah, you got it on that side.
Come Friday morning, we're preparing for another solid day. We've learned the basics of the car, and we're really looking to make some progress. Unfortunately in warming up the gearbox in the TCR car, it seems like something was amiss inside the transmission, and unfortunately it just didn't seem promising enough to be worth the risk of really damaging a gearbox. So unfortunately we had to pull the plug on the TCR program for Friday. But fortunately we have a whole box full of toys. In the shop we had the Shopify Radical SR3 RSX, where we could jump in and start to learn a completely different platform. So it was a bit of a 180 switch from a front wheel drive touring car to a rear wheel drive prototype car. But Erwan's experience in some rear wheel drive cars over the years lent quite well. He obviously had a lot of respect for the car and the track, so we just decided to focus on the Radical. It was a unique challenge for me, coaching Erwan and taking everything we had worked on and throwing some of it away. A lot of things we worked on getting refreshed and focusing on reference points gave us something to build off of, but it was a fun challenge. Erwan was really up to it, and I really enjoyed the experience, being able to teach him that car and get that experience out of it. Although we were a little bit tighter than we expected to be. I think Erwan and I, our size isn't exactly meant for the Radical. I think we pushed the limits there, but it was good. It was a very intimate coaching experience with a friend.
The Radical is just crazy. That's just a wild car. It is so unbelievably fast. The high-speed corners are coming into turn one and just barely lifting, almost flat. Same thing down through Spoon. It was just incredible. Driving it is different than the TCR in that you do have to trail it, but you do also have to come off the trail a little bit, and you don't feel the weight transfer as much. I think it's a much stiffer car, and so it's much more precise in what you have to do. You have to be really precise with your inputs. But yeah, a ton of fun, super physical. I could only do a handful of laps before my arms were just absolutely killing me. My neck going through the high-speed corners was killing me. Wasn't expecting that at all, but it was, yeah. I had a blast. That was a super fun car, and I'll definitely drive it again.
Getting out in the Radical for the first time, I drove a few laps, so he would have that opportunity to see and feel what was happening at speed. But once he got behind the wheel, we got back to simple acceleration braking to start to feel that torque, feel what that car was doing, and start to feel the balance of that platform. And then slowly started chasing our entries a little bit more. Now with the Radical, because it's not a front wheel drive car, we were able to overslow a little bit more on entry of the corner, get out of our braking so we weren't overloading that nose when it was time to turn in. We wanted to release that brake pressure early and simply use a little bit of maintenance throttle through the corner on those initial laps to make sure that rear stayed nice and planted. As he got comfortable, then we were able to start pushing that trail braking a little bit further and then getting on that throttle. Of course, a rear wheel drive car, that throttle application is really important. Finishing the rotation and gently getting on that power, not to upset the balance of the rear and cause an oversteer on exit.
I had a blast. I mean, I was coming into this thinking I was going to drive 2 cars, the TCA Honda Civic and the TCR Audi RS3. That was my mindset going into it, and I was really going to put my best foot forward into progressing with those cars. And it turns out I ended up driving 4 cars this weekend, and each one of them were slightly different, and each one of them were a blast, and I felt like I learned a ton. Just different driving styles for different cars, different experiences. Just overall it was incredible. I had a great time, and definitely sign up to do